What a night. That's all. That's it. That's the tweet. And we're back. Mike Cernovich. Cernovich.com. Still processing what happened last night, or what the frick happened last night. Some of you are with me last night. We had a very fun, engaging late night Periscope. And now we're back with a more nuanced, less goofball. We had a lot of fun last night. If you were on that Periscope last night, you were at the best election night party in the world if you were on the Periscope with me last night. So I'm getting caught up with, the states. Arizona's allegedly back in play. We don't really know. Pennsylvania, God knows what's happening there. Wisconsin, God knows what is happening there. Just nobody really knows, and the GOP really wasn't prepared for this. That's for sure. The GOP was not prepared for it. Last night, though, was a great night for the country. Last night was a repudiation of the fake news media, right? So if you're thinking as I do, I always look at what's next. I always look up what's next. I always look at trends. I like to look at, not what just happened, but the reason I'm able to predict what happened when others don't is because I look for what's next. So, for example, people kept saying, who's going to win the election? Who's going to win the election? And I said, gun to my head, Joe Biden. Gun not to my head, Trump. And that was reflected in a lot of my tweets where I said that my heart said Trump, my mind said Biden. And today, we're seeing why. Ultimately, I gave the edge to Biden. We are seeing a completely unprepared GOP that apparently doesn't have people on the ground in a lot of these areas. They don't have people monitoring vote counts in these areas. So we have a very how do you want to say, unprepared GOP, I guess we'd put it. So that's why I gave the edge to Biden, although I knew that it was going to be very close. It was a rejection last night of the fake news media. As someone who's regularly lied about by these blue checks, I occasionally wonder, does anyone believe them? And last night showed that, no, people don't believe the media. There has not been a person more hated by the media writ large than Donald Trump. Right? And it's not close. There's no one who's been attacked in the way that Donald Trump has, and it isn't even close. And yet we're going to be this nail-biter Bush versus Gore on steroids. By the way, so a Bush versus Gore election, which you're going through right now, shows that the country is still conservative. Right? The country is still conservative. Hold on. Right? Isn't that the message of last night? That's why I know that people are blind partisans and not interesting if they're like, oh, Trump got blah, blah, blah. Last night proved that the country is conservative. Last night proved that Mike Cernovich, right-wing populism, all of you who watch me, all of you who believe in me, all of you who supported me, last night showed that we're doing the right things, my friends. Last night showed that we're heading in the right direction. This hopelessness and despair that people are trying to make you feel, everyone thought it was going to be over for America, and last night was a complete rejection of communism. It was a rejection of AOC. It was a rejection of Never Trump. It was a rejection of neocon warmongers. It was a complete rejection of everything outside of the right-wing populist agenda. So I feel incredible about my country right now. I feel incredible about myself personally and what I've done and how I've shaped national conversation and how I've moved public opinion. And how, despite being attacked, I'm more beloved than ever. I feel it so good. I don't know how you can't feel almost like high. I feel like I have a dopamine high. That's where I depart, I think, from the traditional partisan. Is I'm not looking at, what happens with this election. I told you it's going to be a close one. Gun to my head, I said Biden. gun not to my head, Trump, but it's going to be Biden, right? And that's holding up. I told everybody that the polls were voter suppression. I told everybody that we weren't going to know the winner on election. I told everything that's happening, I told you would happen. That's why when people are like, I'm so stressed, how can you be stressed out when everything I told you that would happen is happening? Everything is going as we knew it would. Everyone should be very namaste. Now, I was wound really tight on the car. I was in the car with Sean, and I was a little short. So I'd like to publicly apologize to Sean and G. It was a little short. Not in an abusive way, but just in a kind of a snide way. Like, why you asking me that question? Can't you see? Can't you see I got a lot on my mind? I got a lot on my mind, man. And so there was like 2 hours where I was ba-boom, 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 ba-boom. And I was like, okay, breathe. This was the just breathe election. Just breathe. As we teach our daughters this exercise stuff too. The deep breath, the Wim Hof breath election. That's what this was. All in, though, we've shown that the media is no longer trusted. We've shown that conservatives and right-wing people like myself who have backbone, who don't cow to the mobs, who just take the hits, are loved, and the media is hated. Right? Somebody says, come on, man, no anger at your sweet wife. What did I say? It was angry. Right? That's your own relationship baggage being projected into this. There's a difference between being short because your mind is on something else and being angry. Right? So that's your own baggage. So you might want to look into that and ask why you use that kind of language. That would just be my mindset. It was a joke. So you say. So you say. I'm going to be streaming all day, by the way. Yeah, the polls are fake. The media is fake. People don't trust the media. And the answer is we need more Mike Cernoviches. The answer, isn't that the answer? Isn't that the answer? Isn't that the answer? That we need more people like me who in 2015 was smeared. They called me rape apologist. They called me racist. I've been smeared, probably other than Trump, the most smeared person in the country. Pro-rape apologist, rape advocate, lies, falsely causes people pedos. Racist, this, connected to these, that. You name it. I have been, other than Trump, probably the most smeared, in the most vile way, too, than probably anyone. And I laid down the blueprint. You've never seen me apologize. You've never seen me kowtow to these people. You've never seen me back down. You've never even seen me cry. You've never even seen me weak. You've never even seen me demoralized. 5 years of this shit, every day of my life. You've watched other people break. Love you, Mario. You watched other people break psychologically. How many people in this world, other than me, can handle the dishonesty, the smears, the obsession, stalkers and pedophiles have harassed my family? You name it. And that's what we've dealt with. But we've shown that you don't ever apologize. You don't ever cry. You don't drink your milk and cookies. Cry yourself to sleep. I'm so sad. I'm sad. Can I have a little milk, mommy? Cookies, please. And you don't apologize. And moreover, I don't even... Okay, interesting conversation. That's why the pause. I don't want to name drop anyone. But someone mentioned something. And it was like, oh, you could come on my podcast one day or something. But like, we'd have to talk about your past. And I told the person, my past? What are you, Tokomor or whatever? I'm about to undergo an inquisition? Mr. Cernovich. You've said some things. Everybody says some things. And that's where, if you're on the right or you're conservative or whatever you want to call yourself, if you're on the quote-unquote right, the populist right, I don't have to justify my existence to you people. That's why, again, I keep crushing. I don't have to justify why I said what I said or did what I did. I don't have to. I am the power base. I am the future. I am the political direction of this country. If you get to talk to me, you are fortunate. That is the attitude and belief that you have to have about yourself. So not only do I not apologize, but I have no interest in explaining my story arc. My story arc is what? I've always been a nice person. My story arc is what? I've always said inappropriate things. My story arc is what? I have a gallows sense of humor. My story arc is I enjoy self-deprecating humor about myself. And that I have a lot of fun. That my sense of humor might not be yours. That's my story arc. Love and light. People who are so dishonest would be the answer. Every man has made the kind of jokes that I've made. I don't care if you're Bill Gates. Well, Bill Gates might be a bad example. Bill Gates actually, I think, is a shady dude. A little bit different. Steven Pinker hung out with Jeffrey Epstein. But then Steven Pinker wants to go on Twitter and be sanctimonious. That, I think, if you had to say what we do, and little Sam Harris kind of got it but didn't. We are a rejection of sanctimony. What is sanctimony? Sanctimony is not if you're a Christian or a Muslim or an observant Jew. Sanctimony is not you keep kosher. Sanctimony is not that you pray before dinner. Sanctimony is not that you do Ramadan. That's not sanctimony. Sanctimony is you're a hypocritical prick who has said or done or associates with people who have said or done worse than others, and then you judge. Right? And then you judge. That's what sanctimony means. And we are a rejection of sanctimony. We are a rejection of, wait a minute, you're at CNN and you want to criticize Mike Cernovich, but Caitlin Collins at CNN had homophobic tweets. No, you don't get to. No. No one has the moral high ground. You're conditioned as a person at birth that there's a moral high ground and some people have it and we don't. No one has the moral high ground. The party of Jeffrey Epstein and Harvey Weinstein does not have the moral high ground. The party of Donald Trump does not have the moral high ground. I don't believe we should retreat into full-blown nihilism. In fact, I believe in God more than I've ever believed in my life, and I'm 43. I'm not teaching nihilism. I'm teaching that no one has any moral high ground. We are all... Oh, by the way, Nestor, my phone, I dropped it in the... I dropped it, so I don't have a phone. I was going to text you, or I was going to have you come over for cigars, because another friend is going to come over. So, Shauna's going to text you, or text Shauna, because I don't have a phone. And or text me, and I think I can get on iMessage. Anyway, if you want to come over and get cigars, we're going to be hanging out and smoking cigars. So, just text me, and then I probably will get it on my computer, iMessage, but I don't have a phone right now. No one has the moral high ground. Once you accept that, you don't have to justify yourself. You don't have to rationalize anything. You don't have to explain yourself. But you can also recognize that you're... Ryan, you can come over too. Ryan, come over with Nestor. Text Nestor. We have another friend coming over. We're going to be in the backyard smoking cigars all day. This will be a long fucking day, bros. So, you can come over, Ryan, too. Text Nestor if you're in the area. Roll on over. We'll just smoke cigars all day. It should be a nice day. The lack of the moral high ground, though, and recognizing that people don't have the moral high ground, is how you no longer submit. Because we're programmed from a young age to submit to our moral betters, to moral authority. Teachers, preachers, salesmen, corporations, the boss, the media. And once you reject that, then you're free. Once you realize you will be judged by God. There is a heaven and a hell, and you will be judged by God. Once you know that in your heart, and I mean know it, not think it, not you write it in a book and you know it in your heart, The idea that men, sanctimonious, dishonest hypocrites, are going to judge me or judge my friends? You laugh at that. You actually laugh at that. But that doesn't mean you won't meet God, because we're all going to meet God. That's the conversation I think more about. That's the conversation I think more about every day, is the sit down with the big guy in the sky and the big gal in the sky, because I think God is a duality, and I don't want to get into that right now because I don't want to trigger a bunch of religious people. That's the conversation to think about. This conversation with these creepy media guys. No thanks. No thanks. However, I will say, though, it's beautiful to witness in real time the media's repudiation and rejection. Last night was as much a referendum on the media as it is a election. Last night, there's only one conclusion. There's only one conclusion from last night. The conclusion is the fake news media doesn't have the mind control we think we have if you push your own media, if you have your own media. So I'll give you an example. I was in 3 movies in 2020. And one of them I released was Hoaxed 2020. It had a Vimeo only release a year before, but we'll just say I was in 3. I was in Hoaxed, I was in The Plot Against the President, and I was in another one. Have you heard of the third one I was in? Right? So, in 2020, I was in 3 movies. Hoaxed got widely released, finally. The Plot Against the President, I was in. There was a third movie that I was in. Have you heard of the third movie? My friend Jack Murphy, maybe, just because he would have seen me and knew the backstory. But the answer is no. The Atlantic did a huge one on me. The Atlantic spent $5 million. The Atlantic spent $5 million on a movie to try to make me look bad. And all that happened was the movie has not been watched by even 10% of the people who have seen Hoaxed, and it lost money. And the people who have watched the film, if you read the reviews on iTunes, and they're only 15, unlike Hoaxed. So if you read the reviews are, we like Cernovich and we're mad that you lied about him. That's the lesson of 2020. The lesson of 2020 is that people see through the propaganda. People see through the left-wing lies. People can watch a $5 million movie made by the Atlantic and Cerno laughs all the way to the bank and how much money they wasted to come out to me, to take a shot at me. How flattering is that, by the way? How flattering is that Steve Jobs' widow spent $5 million to try to make me look bad? And it made me look good, because you can't make me look bad. Because people see through the propaganda. But that said, none of you even heard about the film. I'm in 3 movies. Everybody heard about The Plot Against the President. That's doing bigger numbers than Hoaxed. Hoaxed, everybody's heard of. And then this other film, you're like, oh, I didn't even know there was another film. People see through the propaganda. All right, I got to get on a call, talk to somebody about a matter. But I'll be on the interwebs all day. Mike Cernovich. Hair's looking good, by the way. This hair's looking good. No wonder I've been getting more hate than usual. Imagine you're a reporter and your job is to cover Mike Cernovich, and you're in your 20s, and your hair doesn't look as good as I look in my 40s. You know what I mean? I'd probably be mad if I were them too. Like, look at this guy. There's an old man here. He's got better hair than me. I don't color it either. See that? No color. That's that natural kind of sandalwood color. I don't know. Sandalwood. I'm not really sure what you call it, but But that's why they're mad. That's why they're mad. They're young, and I'm an old man, and I got more swagger than them. I got more look. Light wood grain. Thanks, my brother Loki's. I got swagger. I got more looks than them. I got more media success. But if I were them, I wouldn't. I always ask myself, if I were them, would I be jealous of me? And there's an answer to that. If I were them, would I be jealous of me? And the answer is no. Because the adversity that I had to overcome to get here was pretty not fun, to put it mildly. And I know we're all supposed to say all adversity is good, blah, 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 blah. A lot of the things I went through aren't good. It's just life that you have to accept it. You have to push through it. But I'm not glad it happened. People are like, oh, that thing happened to me. Best thing. No, the worst things that happened to me were the worst thing that ever happened to me was the worst thing that ever happened to me. You push through, you persevere, you get stronger. But the worst thing that ever happened to me isn't some great thing that I'm glad, oh, it showed me so much about life. Boy, I learned so much about life. No, the worst thing that ever happened to me was the worst thing that ever happened to me. That's why if I were one of these reporters who are jealous of me, I wouldn't be. Because to be where I am, they would have to go through what I went through. And I wouldn't want to go through what I went through, even knowing that this is where I was. If I had to settle for a little bit less of a life, would I have not gone through certain things? Probably, right? That's why I'm never jealous of anyone. You have no idea what that person's been through. Oh, I wish I were that guy. What happens to that guy at night? Does he fall asleep? I do. How can I be jealous of anyone when every night I fall asleep and feel great about what I did for my day? Every night I crash. I think, what a great productive day I had. Fall asleep. Wake up and I got to stretch a little bit, but I wake up ready to go. I couldn't be jealous of anyone. Billionaire, 100 millionaire, 50 millionaire, you name it. How could I? Because I don't know how that man sleeps. Does he? Is he haunted? Does he have unresolved trauma? Somebody says, this guy is disgusting. You talk but make no sense. That's because you do not have a heart. I only make sense if you can listen with your heart. I only make sense if you can feel with your heart, because I speak from my heart. That's why I'm more powerful and impactful than you ever could have imagined. That's why I could go from 20 Twitter followers, no media backing, no advertising, no help from establishment media, no help from conservative media, and I can just drive through 700,000 followers. While making, how many people have 100,000 followers or more because of Mike Cernovich? 10, 15, 20? Right? How many people have 100,000 followers because of Mike Cernovich? 10, 15, 20, maybe more? There are some people that, have more followers than me now. And I'm glad for them. How many people have 10,000 or more followers because of me? Hundreds, maybe thousands? How many people have businesses because of me? Online businesses. Right? How many people have you only heard of because of me, and now they have entire businesses because of me? Dozens? Right? Not zero, that's for sure. The reason that's possible is because I always speak with heart, with love power, with the divine energy. And as De Lobo 531 says, I not only have the followers with no pandering, but I reject people, right? How many people have you seen me, how many times have you seen me lose 10,000, 20,000 followers in a day? More than that, right? More than that. That's how you have to live, people. All right, my friends, thanks for watching. I'll be back. Mike Cernovich, cernovich.com, CERNOVICH.com.